Heyo, what is up, my people? How you been? How you doing? How was your weekend? Mine's pretty lit. Had a lot to do. Went a lot of different places. Definitely went to a couple parties. And, Sunday, had to watch the games. So, Falcons didn't win. It's alright. So, if you do watch football, American football that is, hope your teams won, unlike my team. And if you watch European football, also heard that was pretty lit. Heard about Kylian Mbappe. I heard he scored four goals, like 13 minutes. Some crazy, insane thing. So, I know if you're a European football fan, you're also pretty psyched about that. So, as you guys know, this is my channel, the Brinks Stop, where the money drops off. I'm your host, the friendliest face in the game, the man of the hour, and the boy wonder himself, Kick-a-ching. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about the news, getting to a news episode. Now, I do have a disclaimer coming up, but before we get to that, I would just like to say, I do want to talk more about the news. I feel like currently in this cryptocurrency space, more people are talking about speculative things. They're talking about, oh, will Ripple go to this price, or will Bitcoin get to this price, or will certain coin moon and will certain coin drop? And I like Ethereum, like, oh, are they gonna go to zero? It's just a whole bunch of speculation. I don't think that's healthy in the space. Now, I think we actually need to focus on the fact that we have, the statistics that we have. We need to focus on the actual news that is coming out in the market and go from there. Of course, you can speculate. Of course, you could do technical analysis, fundamental analysis. But at the end of the day, you will never know. You never will be able to predict these crypto markets or what's going to happen. So I say we just look at the news for now and we just take it like that. So, disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is just friendly discourse between me and my audience. So anything that I said here, this is my own opinion. This reflects my own research that I have done within the cryptocurrency markets. And I invest, and I am not telling you guys to, follow me, follow my advice, invest where I invest. So if you do that, please consult your own financial advisor. And last but not least, please do your own research and do not invest more in these cryptocurrency markets than you can afford to lose. So there's that. So getting down to it, guys, we actually have some good news in the space. Definitely some, in my opinion, this is great news. And in terms of like a fundamental analysis type of perspective, I think this is going to look great in that long-term, outlook for cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, everything. So yeah. So one of the things, the Gemini exchange, as you guys know, the Winklevii twins on the Gemini exchange, they have gained insurance for their cryptocurrency. So they will be offering insurance to everybody on their exchange and also to new people getting into the exchange. So if we look at, what there is to say, so Gemini announced that the exchange has partnered with leading insurers to provide coverage on custodial digital assets. And effective October 1st, so like about a week ago, Gemini's new insurance coverage is provided to all digital assets that are held in Gemini's custodial service. So I'll get into why this is good. One other thing that we don't need to read this block paragraph, but basically what it's saying is, in order to get the coverage that they needed to get the insurance coverage, they had to firstly prove to the insurers that they knew what they were talking about when it came to cryptocurrency. They had to prove that cryptocurrency, it wasn't just so volatile, as everybody's talking about. They had to prove like, okay, yeah, there is a certain extent, like a certain amount of risk to the market, but you can manage that risk really well if you know what you're doing. So they had to also prove that, and then they also had to prove like which coins or which tokens were the ones that needed to be insured and which other ones didn't really need to be insured. And after they were able to figure that and well explain that, then all the insurers for the Gemini, or that Gemini was in contact with, they said, okay, we'll give it a go. So why I think this is a good thing? I think this is great because this means, like us little people, because we're not whales, for us retail investors, for people with smaller amounts, like not compared to like millions, for us retail investors that have like thousands, thousands, tens of thousands in the market, but not millions and billions, this is good for us because this means that we will not be, or if you use Gemini, that is, not saying everywhere, but if you use Gemini, this means that you will be able to have your funds safe. You'll be able to lock your funds on the exchange if need be. I always recommend getting a cold storage wallet, desktop wallet, whatever it might be. But if if you're an exchange person, want to keep it on the exchange, just know your funds will be safe with Gemini. And why this is important, because you hear all the time about some exchange, not every exchange, not the bigger ones like Binance, but you hear about like other exchanges, like the small exchanges, they get hacked, or you hear about other exchanges and they're going down for a couple weeks, or they go down for a couple days. And you never want like a case like Mt. Gox where the exchange just completely falls apart and everybody who had their money on the exchange just, they're out of luck, so they can't get their money, nothing to do with the money. This is great because your investment is protected with Gemini. And what this also signals, in my opinion, why this is great news for the cryptocurrency space, what it is signaling is that if retail investors can successfully put their funds on an exchange and they can have it insured, and this happens for, I guess, they have a track record, they build it up, so for a year, 2 years without incident, people are having their funds insured, they're able to just leave their money in the exchange. It's a relatively safe investment. This means that for the bigger investors, like the financial institution, for any whales, for any bigger players in the markets, this means that they can see Gemini as a legitimate place to go and buy and sell cryptocurrency, and they can be like, I can leave my exchange funds here and they can be insured. I don't have to worry about it ever going down. I don't have to ever worry about really pulling my funds out because I know that they'll be safe, and I don't have to worry about someone hacking and stealing my funds because, again, they'll be backed up, they'll be have everything insured. So great news for the space. And even though the Winklevi twins, they're always getting some type of flack, even though the Winklevi twins are always getting some type of heat, they had the ETFs denied, I think they're really trying to do a lot for the space, and I really think there'll be big names like in the future when we're looking back on how cryptocurrency progressed, how it developed, how it evolved. The Winklevi twins will be part of those pioneers that were really helping to get worldwide adoption. So applause to them. Next, Venezuela. So as you guys know, we have President Maduro, and Nicolas Maduro, we know he had the Venezuelan petro. There's a whole story behind how they needed a national cryptocurrency because their original what was it, the Bolivar? I don't know, but their original national currency is being inflated like to crazy prices. Like they're like how the German, like not the actual German mark after the war, but before the war, the German mark, how that was like inflated crazy. People had like tons of bills just to pay for like chicken legs. That's basically what's happening in Venezuela. So they have hyperinflation right now in Venezuela, and they're using oil-backed cryptocurrency to basically set up a blockchain center and to set a stable currency that everybody within the country can use. What is interesting about this is, so here we go. So Maduro, he announced the official launch of the national cryptocurrency, the Petro, and the official website for the Petro has already been launched, and the official Petro wallet, this is also available in Google Play. However, the public sale is not going to start until November 5th. So we've been hearing about the Petro since what, December? January. We've been hearing about this basically for almost a year now. And honestly, if you talk to Venezuelan people, I have a couple of Venezuelan friends. If you talk to Venezuelan people who've been to Venezuela or live in Venezuela, they've said that they've heard about it, but it's not like it's been in use, or they don't even know if it's like really a true thing because it's coming from the government. But it's like, can you really trust the government? Are they really doing this? Because nobody's using it. But supposedly the Petro is coming out November 5th. So that's pretty good, guys. Now, the other thing too, which is kind of odd, which I found, is they said the Petro, it will be available on 6 major cryptocurrency exchanges starting the 1st, October 1st. However, if you go and look on some of the top exchanges, Binance, OKX, KuCoin, all that, you do not see the Petro listed. So not sure what's up with that. I guess eventually we might be able to see somewhere on CoinMarketCap where, the Petro will be listed, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah. So another thing too with the Petro, the president, so Maduro, he said that all the oil purchases in and out the country must now be paid with the Petro. The stipulation also relates to the international airlines whose routes lie through local airports or fuel for aircrafts will also be sold for Petro. And lastly, their brand, so the Petro brand, the new white paper states that the currency is backed 50% by oil, 20% by gold, and 20% by iron, and 10% by diamond assets, if you're curious as to like what makes this coin so valuable. So if we're basically looking at, in terms of adoption, if we're looking at terms of everybody using cryptocurrency around the world, or simply just nations, developing their own cryptocurrency, which I think is going to start being more commonplace. This this is a fairly good standard, I feel, because it's showing that, okay, we have a cryptocurrency that can, combat hyperinflation, and every currency around the world has experienced some type of inflation, and it might not be hyperinflation, but it has been inflation. So whether you look at the US dollar, the British pound, the European euro, whether you look at, all these other, places across the world, South America, whether it's Turkey, whether it's Iran, whether it's Brazil, whether it's Venezuela in this case, whether it might be, or whatever it might be, we see that there is a need for some type of stability within the space, or stability with the currency. And yeah, so if we're looking at the petro, why I think this is really a good idea, or not really a good idea, but why I think this is like really good for the space, is because if a country can start using cryptocurrency more often, if the citizens within the country, they become more savvy to blockchain technology and they start understanding cryptocurrency, this means that now again, I'm not talking like the petro specifically, but this means that if they start using the petro, this means that they might start learning about Bitcoin. They might start learning about Ethereum, Ripple, Cardano, Ontology, Neo. They might start learning about all the cryptocurrencies. They might start putting their money into it, their funds into it, because they realize that these are safer investments than just having a continually hyperinflating fiat currency. So another thing too that I also think is weird about this whole petro deal is that it's kind of like it seems like it's more of a forced thing, not necessarily like, oh, okay, if you're Venezuelan, if you're a citizen, oh, you can do this if you want, you can invest in it if you want, you can buy it if you want. It kind of seems like it's going to be more forced upon the people, and that, just forcing people to do something, obviously that's not good. We already know about the president. We don't need to get into politics right now, but forcing people to do something, I don't think that's really good. But again, if there is that learning curve that people have to get used to, if they have to start learning about cryptocurrency and blockchain, it's just going to be better in terms of adoption, because they're going to start using the petro. They might start using that to invest in other cryptocurrencies, or like I said, they'll start becoming more wary of Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these other cryptocurrencies, and that's just good for the entire space. So yeah, that's the news on the petro. Yeah, we can see that. Oh, and actually that's also a good thing I scrolled down, because there's actually kind of a timeline on Maduro where he talked about the petro. So as you can see, December 4th, he announced the oil-backed coin for the first time. Here we go, January 7th, the first issues of 100 million petros go into account. Let's keep going. So May 4th, Maduro launches the creation of the petro-funded crypto bank for youth initiatives. Maduro, July 26th, Maduro ties petro to the national fiat, announces the start of circulation in August. Keep going. September, Maduro claims that petro will be used for the international transaction, the commercial transaction starting in October. And then finally, October 1st, Maduro announces that the official petro sale will start on November 5th. So again, this is the public sale, but this is just a timeline of everything if you guys are curious about what's going on with the petro in Venezuela. And again, I think this is also a really good thing that's happening, not necessarily forcing people to use it, but I think that they're actually adopting it, that they're finding that it's a use case to combat hyperinflation. Again, these are all great things, and I think this will turn out, personally, I think this will turn out well for Venezuela. It just depends how rapidly it gets adopted or how rapidly it will be used, but I think this will be good. Going on to the next thing, this is also, connection with the petro. This is actually something further. So Venezuela demands that its citizens pay for passports with the petro. So again, this is the forced type of objective that I'm saying, like, I don't really agree that you're forcing people to do it, but it is good that it's starting to be adopted. And again, I know that it is combating hyperinflation within their country. So citizens will soon have to pay with a government-controlled digital coin if they want to obtain a travel document. Hundreds of Venezuelans are leaving the crisis-hit country every day. So I did highlight everything. So basically, what they're going to go into with this article is basically stating is that Venezuela is now mandating that their citizens, they're starting to pay for their, they're starting to use their national cryptocurrency in order to buy national documents. So here we see 2 petros, 1 passport. So new Venezuelan passports will cost 2 petros, equivalent to 7,200 bolivars or 115 USD, or 4 minimum monthly wages. So obviously, as we can see from these statistics, traveling, getting a passport is not necessarily a luxury thing for people who are within Venezuela, but if they do get it, this is how much it will cost. So Another thing too, so Maduro and his people announced that the coin had attracted 735 million on the first day of its private pre-sale. Now we can't confirm whether it's true or not, but you know. And earlier Venezuela issued a white paper for the Petro. So a new document published recently, reportedly copied from Dash, shows that the cryptocurrency isn't backed by oil, but only by some of the country's other riches such as gold, diamonds, iron, and aluminum. Now a lot of stuff has come up, so they have said that their cryptocurrency has been copied from Dash, and I don't just mean like that the whole, you know, that the idea from it, but like the actual blockchain technology from it is basically like using the Dash technology. And the reason for this is a lot of people within Venezuela, who are in cryptocurrency, that is, they're investing heavily in Dash. And the thing about Dash is the government, I guess they're like, okay, well, if everybody within the country is investing in Dash and using Dash, they come out with a national currency and we implement Dash technology, then maybe our citizens will be more likely and more keen to using our cryptocurrency because it's using the Dash platform, but it's also the national currency. So I think that's where they were going with the whole Dash thing. And another thing too, the fact that it's like, you know, not backed by oil, even though they said they're backed by oil, that's kind of odd to me. Again, the Petro thing is kind of odd because it's like you hear news come out about the Petro out of Venezuela, but it's just like, can you really trust the news? Can you understand, you know, what they're really trying to do? Can we really get into like every aspect of the Petro and say that, okay, this is legitimate, this is not legitimate, this is what's right, this is not what's right? We can't really confirm, deny a lot of things, but this is the information that I've gotten. This is the information I'm giving to you guys. So feel free to do your own research on it. And you know, at the end of the day, even if it's not backed by oil, that's kind of bad because they already said it's backed by oil, so it's not really holding up what you said this currency is going to be doing or it's backed by. But it still is backed by gold, diamonds, iron, and aluminum. So those are also precious metals, precious resources. So there's that aspect too. And again, I think that's if we're talking about just the overall scope of the Petro and the passport, I think that being able to buy a passport with, you know, your own national currency, that shows that there's, you know, a use for blockchain technology within national governmental structures, that there's a use case just for cryptocurrency in the everyday life, because this means that, okay, now I can travel and use my passport, and guess how I paid for, you know, my passport? I used it for cryptocurrency. So then this could extend to airlines. Oh, well, now maybe I'll be able to pay for like flights within the country with cryptocurrency. Maybe now I'll be able to use public transportation or get public transportation cards and stuff like that with cryptocurrency, the national cryptocurrency. So I think this opens up a lot of possibilities for cryptocurrency within the space. I think that this is great. Again, the only thing I'm, you know, kind of set off about is just, you know, forcing people to do it, and it's just like, you can't really force people to do, you know, what you want. I know, you know, a completely different country, but hey, that's just my opinion. So let's move on. Another thing here. So I don't know, I'll scroll down. But Ripple. So there has come out a petition. A petition has come out to make Ripple the official crypto of the Tokyo Olympics in 2020. So we already know that, you know, Japan, Tokyo, all these, most Asian countries, not really China, but well, just China. Okay, that's a different story for another time. But anyway, most Asian countries, they're very progressive when it comes to cryptocurrency, when it comes to adoption, when it comes to using everything. And the reason I think this is really good is because we already know almost everybody when the Olympics comes on. I don't really know anybody, and I'm talking about like from my travels, from all the people I've met across the world. When the Olympics comes on, it's almost like watching the World Cup. Everybody wants to watch their country. Everybody wants to see the events. Everybody is tuned in. And what this is, you know, what this has the potential to do could really disrupt the current fiat currency market and show the world like, yeah, we should definitely be getting on this cryptocurrency train. We should definitely be researching, developing. We should definitely be implementing blockchain technology. So this has some great potential. So if we go down to the article, a petition to make XRP the official currency of the upcoming 2020 Olympics in Tokyo has been submitted. So the current petition is close to reaching 10,000 signatures, not that much, but as traction starts gaining, as more people start doing it, and I'm assuming the closer it gets to 2020, there'll definitely be way more signatures. So there's that. So the petition was started by Ken Takahashi to the International Olympic Committee. Ripple Labs has also been tagged with the petition, so I am assuming that Ripple has been tagged. I don't know if they know, but if they do want to find out, they'll be able to easily see, okay, yeah, we can see that XRP is being petitioned. Maybe we could put some of our funds, some of our teams, some of our energy into getting adopted and used as the main cryptocurrency for the 2020 Olympics. So According to Takahashi, he said that the reason why XRP should be used for a couple of reasons. So he said, while this global event presents great cultural and economic opportunities, hosting countries also faces many challenges concerning infrastructure, transportation, and payment systems. So as tourists stream into the country, demand for the local currency skyrockets naturally, causing long lines at currency exchanges, as has been seen at past events like Beijing 2008, Rio de Janeiro 2016. Confusing exchange rates and language barriers further complicate the problem. So, yeah, I didn't highlight this, but he said, we believe that the fast transaction times and security of Ripple XRP cryptocurrency would be a great contribution towards solving this problem. So if we're actually looking at Ripple and their cryptocurrency, like a little bit of their metrics or token metrics, as we would say. So Ripple website mentions that it takes about 4 seconds to settle a payment via XRP. So insane, really. Also, XRP consistently handles 1,500 transactions per second, 24/7, and this can scale to handle the same throughput as Visa, which does 50,000 transactions per second as of July 2017. So, not only are they saying Ripple can scale, they're talking about the speed at which it would take, and they're also talking about the conversion rate, because if you buy Ripple, you're basically buying Ripple, whatever your local currency is, and you're going to have a certain amount, and if you're charging a Ripple, it will just be a Ripple. It won't be, okay, you need to use an exchange conversion fee, and then you also have to be charged that conversion rate on top of, withdrawing your money from a foreign ATM, whatever. Now, I don't know if you guys are travelers. Personally, I'm a traveler. I'm from the U.S. I live in Germany right now, so I do know quite a bit about, the exchange rates. I do know about, everything. And currently, for the U.S. dollar to the euro, it is $1 or $1.16 is equivalent to €1. And on top of that, $1.16 equivalent, which really adds up when you start talking about big amounts, because I do have to pay for university and stuff over here. Once you do start doing the conversion rate, there's also, if you do go to an ATM, every time you go to an ATM, you will be charged a €5 fee, or not every time €5, but sometimes it'll be a 3 to 5%, but most of the time a €5 fee. And assuming that this is also the same thing, in Japan, China, whatever it might be, when you start going to these other countries, you'll be charged fees, to withdraw from foreign ATMs. You'll be charged, convert the bank, whatever your local or your national bank is that you use, you'll be charged a conversion rate, converting your local currency into the foreign currency, and just all these different aspects go into that make it confusing. And like you said, long lines, long wait times, and then also if you are a traveler, or if you are someone who's been out the country, or gone to a foreign place and had to use the local currency, you'll understand that when you do these transactions, they don't immediately appear in your bank account. So say for instance, if I were to take out €100, the conversion rate and also the $5 fee, that might not hit my bank account until 2 to 3 days later. So imagine if I had like $120 in my bank account, and I'm like, okay, so I'm about to take out €100, which will probably come out to like 110, maybe 115 euros. But I'm thinking, okay, maybe I have a little bit left on my card. I would not know, unless I'm like, already privy to, the knowledge. I would not know unless the transaction automatically, was set up in my account, unless the alert came to my phone and all that. And this coming 2 to 3 days later, that might be bad for a lot of people, because they might have other stuff that they needed to do with their money. They might have needed to go travel places, go eat, go book and reserve hotels, go book and reserve tourist type things. So if you're using Ripple, again, the fact that these transactions are settled in 4 seconds. Imagine taking money. Okay, if it's your local currency and you take money out the ATM, it'll automatically show. But imagine being in a foreign country and you do an exchange, and it's just boom, 4 seconds, and it tells you everything. It tells you your money's been converted, your money's been sent, your money's been received, all that. Or imagine if you made a payment, so payment made, 4 seconds, and then it's like, okay, your payment is made. This is how much Ripple XRP you have left. So again, this solves a huge problem. And when we're talking about the world, like this is almost the world. I think the FIFA World Cup is bigger, but this is almost the world's biggest stage. And if you have millions, hundreds of millions, not even millions, if you have hundreds of millions of people tuning in, millions of people traveling, and all this is going on, they're definitely going to want a secure, they're going to want a fast, and they're going to want a reliable way to get their money to and from, their home country to the foreign country, to pay, to eat, to stay, all that stuff. Right? So I'm not saying that XRP will get adopted, but again, this is great news. If this does happen, this means that Tokyo will definitely be, not only will they be setting on the forefront because they're showing that the world can use cryptocurrency when it comes to sporting events, but this will also go to all the other countries. So imagine if Tokyo is successful in using XRP, and then the rest of the world's like, well, they were successful. Look how successful they were, and all the exchange places. How much money started to flow in. Imagine that, and then start imagining, because I think pretty soon after this, the Olympics will be going to America, like the whole North America. And just imagine if North America's like, okay, well, Tokyo did it, we can do it. And then imagine after America, imagine other people like, okay, well, America and Tokyo did it, we can do it. So boom, that's like world adoption right there. And I'm not saying that they'll use XRP, but if they already use XRP, maybe they'll use another faster platform. Maybe other platforms will develop to allow them to use payment system. I don't know. What if they start using PoonDX? Who knows? But personally, this is great. This is great news to me. And I know a lot of people, they hate Ripple. Obviously you have those crazy Ripple speculators like XRP to 589, by December, all these crazy stuff. But it's just like, guys, at the end of the day, whether you love it or hate it, Ripple is here to stay. Ripple is going to move mountains in terms of like cryptocurrency for the whole space and for financial institutions and payment solutions. But when we're talking about world adoption and they're thinking about doing this and people are petitioning Ripple, this is stuff that I do like to see. I would definitely say, if you are a holder of Ripple, you should be very happy about this. And if it does get adopted by 2020, you could see the value of Ripple skyrocket, especially with millions of people getting onto the network and using Ripple, definitely. And then just, in terms of everything else that Ripple's doing. But yeah, I think this is great news. I think that more countries should actually consider using blockchain technology when it comes to national events. So whether it might be the Olympics, or it might be like football events, and I mean like football as we would say soccer, or even American football, because American football started going overseas too. So imagine if they started using cryptocurrency payment options, so you don't really have to worry about the conversion rates and all that. I think that's great news. I think that's a great idea, and I think this is really push adoption, on all fronts. So round of applause for Ripple. Round of applause for Takahashi for doing the petition. And I really do to me, it doesn't matter if it's Ripple, but if it is Ripple, that's great. If it's another one, that's great. As long as it's a cryptocurrency that's reliable and useful, I think that it should be adopted and used for the upcoming Olympics. So next, this is Seoul. So the Seoul, South Korea, again, back to Asia. Asia is very progressive, guys. Asia loves their cryptocurrency. So the Seoul mayor plans to use a $100 million fund to build a blockchain smart city. So if we go here, Park Won-soon, the mayor of Seoul, has revealed a 5-year plan to invest 108 million USD. I think it's like, here we go, 123.3 billion Korean won to develop the South Korean capital as a smart city powered by blockchain. So again, here we see more and more countries really trying to compete and use cryptocurrency to say, okay, we can use cryptocurrency. It's a disruptive technology. It's a great technology, and it can really revolutionize the way we're using technology. And again, Asia's always been the leader in technology. Japan, Korea, all those places, they've really always been the leaders. And I don't know about other places, but I know that America, they always get everything secondhand, third hand compared to, everything coming out in Asia. So you go to Tokyo, it's basically like, I don't even know, it's like the future for us. Or if you go to Korea, the future for us. So I'm glad to hear about this. So keep going with the news. So the blockchain urban plan for 2018 to 2022 will cover 14 public spaces in 5 areas, with a government budget totaling again 123.3 billion Korean won. So major public services will be adopting this blockchain, and these will include the labor force, vehicle history management, certification issuance, and donation management and elections voting. So let me, before I get back into it. So to continue, Park also indicated his administration aims to spend another 60 billion won or $53 million building 2 complexes by 2021 to house 200 blockchain startups by utilizing parts of the Gapo Digital Innovation Park and Mapo Seoul Startup Hub. So a couple of reasons why this is great. Firstly, for just looking at the latter news, they're going to be building, infrastructure that can house blockchain startups. So this means that, now I don't know if this will be Icon. I don't know. I got to look more into it. We got to figure out more what Icon's doing with the government and all that. But if we look at, the fact that they're going to be, by 2021, so clearly they have a very progressive outlook and a very adopted outlook when it comes to cryptocurrency. But not only trying to, it seems like they're adopting cryptocurrency, they really want this to change their city. They want themselves to be a standard for the rest of Asia, and I'm assuming the world. So the fact that they're going to house 200 blockchain startups, now this doesn't mean that when they house these blockchain startups that, every blockchain startup coming out of here will be successful. But imagine if out of these 200, 5 are extremely successful, and out of those 5, 3 are heavily adopted by the world. That's great news. Great news in terms of cryptocurrency adoption. Great news of getting cryptocurrency to be used throughout the world and all that. And also, if we see this, what I also like about this earlier news, talking about basically using blockchain, and this is the way blockchain honestly should be used: vehicle history management, certification issuance, donation management, elections voting. All these things are what the blockchain is built for: a digital immutable ledger. So transactions cannot be changed on the blockchain. Transactions will always be recorded, and it will always show. Now, it's not going to show you like, so and so did this. It'll show you like the address. It'll show you where the address came from. But the fact that everything is on the digital ledger, everything that will be able to be seen, this honestly speeds up the government processes, in my opinion. And I think that more governments should be thinking about adopting blockchain technology, because the current system of the government, everything is kind of it's not anonymous, but everything is very slow. There's ways to hide stuff. There's way to cover up stuff, way to forge numbers, the way to cook the books. There's always something with governments. And if you just look at the American government, you look at the campaign donations, look at where they're coming from. It's always like some type of scandal, like, oh, so and so was really endorsed by the NRA, or so and so was really hiding this amount of money in an offshore account. It's just like, if you have a blockchain, this can't happen. And also with the elections voted, you guys know about the scandal that happened in America with the voting in Russia and all that. You can't rig an election if it's on the blockchain. Everything that happens, every vote, that will be accounted for. So there's no rigging of an election in that way. So there's that. And why I highlighted this in purple, which is really good, is because they said the Seoul metropolitan government will use the technology to protect part-time workers who do not have labor contracts and are not covered by employment insurance. So these workers will be able to register via a blockchain application that will be developed as part of the plan. After that, labor welfare organizations and insurance companies will participate as running nodes could share workers' information over a distributed network and decide on insurance schemes. So why I highlighted this different from all the other stuff is, if you guys have heard about ontology is basically a smart network. And what they wanted to do with the smart network is they wanted to create an ID, and once you're on the ontology network, basically other partners or other people within the ontology network, that information, if you wanted to, because they also have a private layer, but if you also just wanted to keep it public, you could share all your information. So say, for instance, a doctor. So let's use this example of a doctor. Now, and this also goes back to this Korean example. If you're a doctor, right? Now, if I prescribe a patient, say for instance, I prescribe them, I don't know. Let's just say I prescribe them, 300 milligrams of Adderall maybe every 2 weeks. And say for instance, my patient, they go overseas to study like I am, or say they just go out the state to another state from maybe over the summer for 2 summers, and they need to get their Adderall prescription refilled. Now, if they go to the Adderall, or they go to a different doctor, they go to a different pharmacist, the pharmacist is going to firstly need to verify your identification. They're going to need to verify who your doctor is and that they actually gave you that prescription. And then they're going to need to verify how much the amount is. And they're going to have to verify within their own system, not with your doctor. They're going to have to verify within their own system. Are the drugs up to date? Are they good? When do they get delivered? When will they expire? All this stuff. Now, imagine all this information being on one network, on one blockchain. So now, instead of having to call the doctor, having to contact the Adderall distributor, having to contact, the patient, having to do all these different things and gather all this information, now it's just like, oh, do I have your ontology ID? And this is ontology. So imagine if you have your ontology ID and you just see it, you're like, okay, this is my on ID. And I know if you're on the ontology network, everything's already secured and confirmed. So I see here, you get this amount of prescription every week. Your doctor, who is also on the ontology network, this is who they are. I go look at their records. And also my distributor, whoever's bringing the Adderall and all that, they're also on the ontology network. So I do that. So boom, boom, boom. That's very fast, very efficient, and that gets rid of like this whole supply and logistics network that gets all confused, jumbled up. Just one straight line. It's just like, okay, information here to here, point A to point B. It's pretty fast. I can't tell you how fast it is, but yeah. And this is why I highlighted in a different color, because this honestly reminded me of ontology. And I'm thinking, okay, if ontology is doing this, then this is also something that Korea could do as well. Now, I'm not saying that they will adopt ontology or even use ontology, even though I would hope that they do, but if they have their own and they start doing this means that now they really start getting to the use case of blockchain technology. So no longer is it, okay, it's just, we could keep track of funds, we could keep track of, whoever's using, we could keep track of who's sending a payment here and there. They can also keep track of IDs on the network, the history of a worker on the network. They can keep track of, they can basically keep track of everything on the network, and they can say, okay, well, if we're using that, now we can confirm, we can deny, we can use this, to send this person here, we can get this person covered with insurance there, and we don't have to worry about reaching out to all these middlemen, all these third parties. So That's why I highlighted it in a different color, because I think this is honestly great news. This is overall great news. Like, Seoul is building a blockchain city. Honestly, when it gets to 2020, 2021, I definitely think I'm gonna be going to Seoul to go visit the blockchain city. But even more so than this, if they're really going to be doing this at first, if it's working with people who are unemployed or don't have employment insurance, imagine if they start saying, okay, this is working really well, so we're going to use this with actual employees, we're going to use this with people who are insured, government employees, we're going to use this with major corporations. So after it starts going that big, then they'll start really seeing like, okay, what if all of Korea or all of Seoul is connected on one blockchain network, so everybody is just like, my information's here, I can give it here if I want to, I can deny it here if I want to, but I don't need to use all these third parties. And this really will definitely not only revolutionize business and just government and everything in Seoul, but this will show the world, okay, Seoul has done it, Seoul has used the blockchain network to simplify their business processes, so why don't we do it? So what if the US started doing, what if Germany started doing, Italy, France, Spain, all these other places, what if they started taking this? So great news. Love that I'm hearing this. Love that I'm seeing this about the workers and the blockchain application. So yeah, again, you guys, this is all fundamental analysis. We're seeing all the sentiment within the space. And if you guys are not bullish on cryptocurrency, even though I know the prices are stagnant, I know this is like a crazy prolonged bear run, or it wouldn't be a bear run, but we're in like just a bearish territory right now, even though we just been bearish for who knows how long now. It seems like day after day we're bearish, but it's just like, honestly guys, there's so much bullish news always coming out. I'm loving hearing about it. So one last thing, Binance, they have a listing fee update. So as you guys know, Binance, biggest exchange, ran by CZ. I actually don't know his whole name. Everybody just call him CZ. So there's always been speculation like, oh, you could just pay Binance a fee and get listed, and you could just pay a certain amount and they would, they list you. And that was more or less in 2017, and now it's gone to the point in 2018 where CZ has personally come out and he said, we do not take bribes, or we do not take payment fees just to list your coin. They actually have to go through a whole bunch of hoops. They have to verify your team, they have to verify your project, they have to actually make sure that your project is having enough volume on a daily basis, they have to make sure that your volume is that your project isn't a scam, all this stuff to get listed on Binance. So what they really come out, so what this is now is, and this is effective immediately, so with their listing fee update, they said that starting immediately going forward, we make all listing fees transparent and donate 100% of them to charity. So project teams will still propose the number they would like to provide for a listing fee, or now more probably called a donation. Binance will not dictate a number, nor is there minimum required listing fee. So another thing that CZ came about, I think it was a couple months ago over the summer, he was talking about how listing fees no longer are like a set price. Now again, he never revealed the set price, but it eventually came to the point where he came out. He was like, our listing fees are dictated by the cryptocurrencies themselves. And there are a handful of cryptocurrencies that have been listed on Binance, and they said, we're not paying any money to get listed. That's how good our currency is, or our crypto, our token, our coin is. And Binance, they looked into all the token metrics. They said, cool, great, right, we're listing you. So there are coins that do not have to pay anything, but there's other coins that do have to pay stuff. And you guys know Binance has made billions of dollars. Again, biggest exchange, they made billions of dollars over this last year. And the great thing about this is, not only are they saying that, okay, now is everything going to be transparent, so whenever new coins get listed, you'll be able to see, okay, they paid this much for a listing fee. This also means that Binance is no longer using this money, to pay everybody. They're just taking it and going to donate it. So imagine if they take, say for instance, a coin or a token, project, they come up to Binance, they're like, we'll pay you $200,000 to get listed, and here's everything about us. And the Binance says, cool, we'll take that $200,000 donation. We're going to donate it to a cryptocurrency foundation. And the cryptocurrency foundation is going to be for youth technology and youth innovation. What if they did that? And that's what I'm just saying. Like, I think this is great because Binance, we already know they're the biggest exchange, but if they start donating, this means that they can start getting blockchain adopted much faster. They can see cryptocurrency become more adopted throughout the world. And overall, it's just this air of transparency that Binance, personally, this is why I like Binance so much, because they've always had this air of transparency. When they go down, they tell you because of maintenance. If they haven't been hacked, but if they ever said that they were hacked, I'm sure they'd say, okay, we're hacked. Or when they need to do airdrops, token swaps, they tell you all about that. When they have contests, they tell you about that. Now they're telling you, like, that, first off, we don't, as retail investors, we don't even need to know, like, projects, like what their price is for, being listed on Binance. But the fact that they're saying, oh, we'll just, keep that transparent to everybody, this is great news. So loving that they're doing this for the exchange. Maybe this will set the precedent for the other exchanges, whether it be BitHome, whether it be OKX, whether it be KuCoin. So let's see how that happens. And yeah, so that's really the news, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Honestly, I hope you guys heard this news, or you heard what I said, and you're just like, okay, everything's great, everything's lovely. You know, let's just see what more news comes out this week. You know, just I hope you guys have more of a bullish sentiment, because I know the bear market is getting everybody down, but I hope you guys just have more of a bullish sentiment as the time goes on, and as you know, we start getting more involved and we start learning more about cryptocurrency, and we just see everything start adapting and changing within this space. So that's it, guys. Hope you liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah. Oh, also do follow me on my Instagram at @thekidkaching. I'll be doing Instagram IGTV videos there. So there's that. You can watch, you know, shorter videos. You can also see my posts about cryptocurrency, just everything crypto, and just, you know, what I do as a person and stuff like that. So again, hope you guys enjoy.